Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Unsung Hollywood Season 3, and this is the episode about Bill Bellamy. Now, Bill Bellamy, as many of you know, is a well-known comedian, actor, as well as a TV host. He pretty much had, his career pretty much was launched after his appearance on Def Comedy Jam, which led him to have jobs as a DJ on MTV and MTV Jams, and also led to him becoming a movie actor. So I'm definitely a big Bill Bellamy fan. He's a great, charismatic comedian. He's very, very chic and very suave in his presence, and it's really cool. I mean, pretty much the three things they said about Bill Bellamy is that he represented, poise, confidence, and swag, and you definitely saw that every time you saw Bill Bellamy. So he was born in 1965 in Florida, but I think was raised in Newark, New Jersey. His parents both didn't have a high school diploma, but they were adamant that they wanted their children to have a better life. So him and his sister Karen, they pretty much invested in their education. They went to private school, and they got the best education possible. Early on, he started to get that niche for comedy because he was like the class clown in school. So if he found out anything about you, he was talking about it during lunchtime in the cafeteria. And so from an early age, he definitely had this innate ability to do comedy just on the spot, just like that. He ends up getting into Rutgers University, an Ivy League school, and he's majored in economics. He actually did graduate and get his degree, but while he was in school, he still pursued his comedy. He still pursued his dream of doing comedy, and also while he was there, he actually won $500 for a male pageant, where not only did he get to show off his physical sex appeal, but then he also added it with his comedic genius, and he pretty much stood out amongst the crowd. So after college, he ends up getting this corporate job where he's pretty much making good money, making a good salary, but he's still going out of his way to pursue comedy, because at his heart, that's what he really wanted. He wanted to be a comedian, and it was something that drove him. It was something he was passionate about, and it was something that just it was something that kept him going through good and bad times. And he even talks about that when it came down to it, his boss actually offered him a promotion and even agreed to finance him getting his MBA in economics so he can move up within that corporate world. So he pretty much had that dilemma, job security and fulfilling your dream. And a lot of times we both have these, and it's that pretty much make or break decision in life, where you're going to choose either your security or you're going to choose your dream. Because sometimes your dream, security is not certain, and you're not always going to be, comfortable choosing your dream. But I liked his answer, in regards to why he made the decision, because he was deciding to leave the company because he wanted to pursue comedy. He wanted to pursue comedy because someone had told him that, you're not a comedian unless that's all you do. So the fact that you still work in corporate America and doing comedy part-time, you're not really giving it your all. And he thought about that, and he's like, I'm about to leave my job. I'm done with this. He pretty much, he said he actually had his resignation typed up in his bag for over a year, but he just hasn't dated it. So even then, he was thinking, I'm not going to stay here. This is not where I'm going to end up. I'm going to go further and beyond this. So when it came down to when his boss offered him that not only will he give him a promotion, but will also finance him getting his MBA in economics, he pretty much said that, look, I can always get another job, but I don't think I can get another dream. So he handed in his resignation. He handed in his resignation, and he decided to pursue comedy full time. And that act, I have a lot of respect for, because at the end of the day, you have to choose your passion, and you can't put a price tag on your passion, because your passion can bring you opportunities and wealth that you can't even see at that moment. So sometimes choosing your passion can actually change your life for the better. Even though you may face hard times and you may face hardships and you may get setback and letdowns, if you stick with your passion and you stick with it, you will make do and you will prevail if you're diligent and you're dedicated to the process. So it goes to show you that Bill Bellamy actually has a great mode of thinking, as well as a great genius of being a comedian. So that was refreshing to see, and that was one of the highlights of this episode. So I was glad that he chose his dream over his job security. And I know a lot of black people be like, oh no, I need to have coin, I need to have my job, I need to be secure. But sometimes in life, you can't always be secure. Sometimes you just have to trust, you have to trust your abilities, you have to have faith in God, and you have to have, belief in yourself and in your creative abilities. And you just have to march forward, and God will be with you every step of the way. So just keep that in mind. Next, we actually see that he ends up continuing to pursue his comedic chops. He's getting a lot of opportunities, and he pretty much performs at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York. And there he's discovered by Russell Simmons, who ends up putting him on Def Comedy Jam. And this is back in 1992. He was actually one of the first comedians to be on Def Comedy Jam. This was in the same circles as people like Joe Torre and many others who were the first comedians on that first show. And it was also during his routine on Def Comedy Jam where he started his infamous, booty call routine, where he's rolling through the Rolodex and he's trying to call all these different women for a booty call that night. And I thought that I remember actually watching that episode when he was on Def Comedy Jam, and that was hilarious. I mean, I was a little boy at the time, so I didn't really understand it a lot then. But then we were actually, before they started putting Def Comedy Jam on DVDs, we actually used to tape them. Me and my mom at home, we had a complete library of VHS tapes, and we had a rack of them, over 1,000 different tapes. So we would tape all kind of stuff. So I would have some episodes of Def Comedy Jam on VHS, and I remember watching Bill Bellamy even in later years once I was able to understand the subject matter a lot better. And yeah, that scene was hilarious. He's rolling through all the women. He's like, oh no, I can't talk to her, I owe her money. No, she crazy. And then he finally talks to one, and it's they go back and forth, and it's cool because it really shows his comedic genius, but then also his playboy side to him, because Bill Bellamy's an attractive guy, so therefore men wanted to be him and women wanted to be with him, so he played on that. And he said he also had his own look, his own swag, where most comedians would kind of be more loose and would have more jeans and kind of have more of a hip hop, flair of dress. He, on the other hand, decided to be more sophisticated. Like, he liked dressing up in white shirts, or he liked wearing suits and things like that. So he wanted to feel like a star, and he got this idea from Eddie Murphy Raw, because he said that outfit that Eddie Murphy came out was clean from head to toe, and he wanted to be that clean every time he went on stage. He wanted to represent that pretty boy swag, and that's what he did. And it was 3 months after he debuted on Def Comedy Jam, he ends up going on tour with Bernie Mac, Adele Gibbons, and Joe Torre, and becomes a hit. And then later on, he ends up getting an opportunity to become a DJ for MTV. Now, he, I think, was the only black person that was suggested for an audition. Because they auditioned a lot of white people for this new segment of MTV, because they wanted someone to become the DJ for MTV Jams. They submitted his information, and when they met him, they immediately liked him, and it clicked, and he ended up becoming, and I have to say, he definitely is one of the most known, DJs in MTV history, because I remember Bill Bellamy like crazy growing up as a kid. Seeing him on MTV, he's talking with all these different celebrities like Janet Jackson and Tupac and many others, where he's like literally right there with mainstream Hollywood, and he's pretty much a face where he's being seen to the mainstream audience. And I definitely have a lot of fond memories of like watching him on MTV and MTV Jam. So, that kind of brought it back for me when they actually showed that about him being a DJ on MTV. Because I actually thought that was actually rather cool. Because I remember I used to always crack up with Bill Bellamy, because Bill Bellamy was even doing comedy even then, and even at that time he stood out. And he actually did that for a number of years, and eventually it segued into him becoming a movie star. So pretty much him being on MTV Jams pretty much not only gave him an urban audience, but it also gave him a pop audience. So it was pretty much a groundbreaking move for him, because it gave him a bigger audience to play to. Excuse me. And next, we actually saw back in 1996, he ends up getting an opportunity to do his own stand-up special called Booty Call, where, he talks, and I remember watching this shit was hilarious, because I remember it came on HBO, and we were literally in tears because we were laughing so hard at this, because not only was he talking about all the different women, but then the thing that really stood out is when he was talking about him and his little sister when they were kids, and they would try to sneak in and play trouble at nighttime when they're supposed to be in bed. So, and he said he would always get his sister to do everything, and the sister would just do everything he says. So she gets in trouble or whatever, and then they trying to play trouble, and they like pushing it down, and like, oh no, because y'all remember how trouble is when you push down to get the dice so you can move. I just thought that set was really hilarious, because that was definitely something that stood out, like them sneaking, trying to play trouble late at night when they're supposed to be asleep. That was really cool. And after doing that definitely gave him more appeal and gave him more notoriety. And now Hollywood producers and directors were looking his way, and he ends up getting his first role in Love Jones. And I remember his character in Love Jones. That motherfucker got on my nerves, because he seemed like that, that hating ass nigga, like that dude who's waiting to see you fail so he can kind of get in your face and try to take what's yours, or try to throw you down now that you done hit rock bottom. Because, you got some people in life who are like that. People who don't want to see anybody else win. They kind of have this crab in the barrel mentality, and all they want to do is drag you down instead of seeing you win. So for him to play that kind of character, because in reality, Bill is definitely the opposite. Bill was probably the most giving and probably one of the most, helpful comedians out there. But to him to play a role like this was everything, because in that scene between him and Lorenz Tate, who, and I think that both of them are really close friends, you can actually see that they're having this conversation that's kind of undercoded, where he's kind of in a way letting them know, I got your old girl, and yeah, I've been up on the late night, I've been tapping that ass. Not really saying it like that, but saying it, with wordplay, kind of throwing it out there, and then also Lorenz Tate is kind of saying the same thing, like, oh, so who's beeping you? Is that your mama? It's like, oh no, it ain't my mama this time. And I definitely remember that movie and definitely remember that scene, and I'm like, dude, grimy, because it's like, dude, you not only gonna mess with his ex-girl, but then you're gonna kind of feel like you've achieved something, that you got that you pretty much picked up his sloppy seconds. But that's the mind of a hater, and that's the mind of a thirst bucket. But for him to play a role like that was a groundbreaking role, because that's the complete opposite of who Bill Bellamy is. And then from there, it led to him to have his first leading role, which this movie today is a true classic, and it was Def Jam's How to Be a Player. And that movie is hilarious even to this day. I can watch it from beginning to end, and I get entertained every single time, because you really see how he has all these different variety of women, and you kind of see the mentality that he has as the player. But then it's funny, because at the end he finally gets busted. After all of this time where his sister is kind of trying to do this thesis on him, because his sister's a college student, she gets her friend involved, and they're trying to, they're trying to get him busted, because he was always getting away. He was always slipping under the radar. And it's like no matter what the sister did, she could never catch him. But finally at the end, his ass got caught. But it's a great movie, and it's a classic, and it's something that I will always, treasure, and something that we'll all treasure, because it's definitely one of those movies that you can always watch with your family, and you can always watch with your friends, and it's a movie that's just going to always have you laughing. And it's definitely got a lot of great names up in it. Bernie Mac is in it. B.B. Drake and many other good names is in that movie. So it was cool to finally for him to have his first leading role in the movie was pretty much a hit right out the bat. And then also we actually found out that he was actually the voice of Skeeter, he was actually the voice of Skeeter on Nickelodeon's Kid Skeeter, and that was like, that's cool, because that was the show that Robert Richard and Megan Good was on, and he was actually the voice of Skeeter, so that was awesome. And then also he was in Any Given Sunday with Jamie Foxx and LL Cool J. While he was working on this play, he met his future wife Kristen. They have 2 children. They have a daughter and a son. And also he developed a real closer relationship with his younger brother, Julius. Who he's like over 10 years older than him. So Julius was kind of like his son. So he had that kind of fatherly like relationship with his brother, but then yet they were brothers at the same time. So he was pretty much Julius was born way later on after him and his sister Karen. So he really had a deep care for his brother Julius. So he ends up getting other movies like The Brothers. He ends up getting in this TV series called Fastlane. I remember Fastlane because it was actually a really good show, but it only lasted for 2 seasons and it was pulled off the air. And then he also does this. Does doing another comedy special called Back to My Roots, which he really just does his thing, and it was actually great because I definitely remember. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Forgive me. I'm kind of under the weather right now, but pretty much what ended up happening was that while he was doing Back to My Roots, and his schedule was he always had something coming in, but he decided to kind of pull away from the Hollywood scene and actually focus on his family. And then now he's successful, and now he's arrived. He can actually spend time being a father to his children and being a husband to his wife. So he decided to focus more on his family. And then later on, he ends up doing this other comedy special called Crazy Sexy Dirty, which is one I saw, and that one, it was funny from beginning to end. So I would definitely suggest watching Crazy Sexy Dirty. It's hilarious. When he's talking about, online sex groups and stuff like that, that shit is funny. He really had me cracking up from beginning to end. You should take some Applejack milk and pour it all back to see how far it goes, and see how far it goes down your butt crack. Send. Yeah, it's epic. It's definitely an epic comedy routine. But also, he's also faced some tragedies. One, his brother Julius, who pretty much battled with obesity and diabetes, ends up dying at the age of 32, and he took his death very hard. And also another thing about him is that he is one of those comedians that wants to help rising comedians to get a real shot at being mainstream. Y'all didn't see that. I mean, as I said, I'm kind of sick right now, but I definitely want to deliver for you. And you can definitely see that with him doing shows like Who's Got Jokes and all these different comedy competitions where you can bring in new talent, and yet they're being given a mainstream plateau to show what they can do. So they say that Bill Bellamy has completely shown that he can be about helping out the next person to get into the industry, and seeing to it that black comedians are actually able to get that star vehicle that he had, where they can actually show what they can do, and they can go on and they can live long and prosper in pursuing their dream. And I highly respect that, because it's a way of giving back to the community. You're seeing other people who want a way out, and who want to try to pursue their dreams and aspirations, and you give them a plateau to do so. And you see that even as of now, he's still active as a comedian, and they even said that he is definitely one comedian that, even though he became a movie star, he still wanted to do stand-up comedy. That he never walked away from the art, because that's what his true calling was. So I just say that this was a great episode, and I'm actually glad that they did this segment on Bill Bellamy, because Bill Bellamy is a monumental talent, and I'm glad that he finally got an opportunity. I'm finally glad that I meant to say that I'm actually glad that they finally did an episode on him. So that's my episode for Unsung Hollywood. Subscribe to my channel. Leave comments. Like this video. Share this video. And I definitely will be back with you guys next week, because now this is the segment of Unsung Hollywood, and they're going to be doing now Unsung, which is going to focus on the music side of our unsung heroes within music. And they're going to be doing Corrupt next week, so I definitely am going to be doing that. So I'll be back with you guys next week for Unsung. So until then, take care.